Recently, I attended a wedding function with my parents where I was wearing a sari. According to the Indian mindset, the most acceptable attire for a lady is a sari. And I was wearing a very authentic sari gifted to me by my mother. There was absolutely no problem with it. But I was criticized by one of my relatives for wearing a sari to this event. तूने साड़ी क्यों पहनी है? ये तो औरतों का कपड़ा है. You are not even married. Why are you wearing a sari? I started doubting myself. I started questioning my choices. I started feeling very conscious of, maybe I'm not looking good. Maybe I am not looking the way I thought I was looking. Throughout that event, I was constantly getting questioned by this person. अरे ये साड़ी क्यों पहन के आई है? अरे ये तो शादीशुदा थोड़ी है, ये तो औरतें पहनती हैं, इतने छोटे बच्चे साड़ी थोड़ी ना पहनते हैं. So I came back home in a very bad mood, and when I showed my pictures to my friends, I was surprised because everyone appreciated me. Do you have a person in your life who constantly criticizes you, who constantly finds something wrong in the way you dress up, in the way you eat, what you are doing in your career? Every aspect of your life is criticized by this person. So let me break it to you. This person in your life is a toxic person. So let us first understand, what do you mean by the term toxic? I will just do a quick Google search. According to Google, toxic means something which is poisonous. So, by that logic, somebody who adds negativity to your life can be named as a toxic person. And it is extremely important to identify that toxic relationship of your life, because this relationship can be a reason that you get pushed into depression, and this can also be a reason for you to constantly doubt yourself, for you to constantly question your self-worth and feel conscious in a public gathering. So I think that in one of the videos that we had recorded on the channel, we will put the link in the description box, where we were discussing about toxic relationships with Dr. Poulomi, who is a psychologist. We had discussed about 3 to 4 kinds of toxic relationships that exist in a normal person's life. So if I have to quickly name some, one can be between, of course, the partners. Another kind of toxic relationship exists between friends. Then a very famous kind of toxic relationship that exists is between the boss and the employee, or between two employees, colleagues. But I would like to highlight over here one of the most infamous kind of toxic relationship, the relationship between parents and their children. So how can the relationship between a parent and child be toxic? It is supposed to be the most pure form of relationship. So for example, helicopter parenting, where the parent is always aware of what the child is doing, where he is going, who he is meeting, what he is eating, everything. You're constantly monitoring your child's movement. And I think some parents actually do track their child's movement all the time, even if your child is 16, 17, 18 or 20 years old. So that is definitely not a good sign. And a relationship where the parent is too strict. For example, the most common example that I can think of is the relationship between a father and a son. It's a very stereotypical example, but we have seen it in movies also, that usually the father is very strict with the son, and they don't hug, or they don't share very emotional conversations. Now the times are changing, but the child also feels very scared of the father. A lot of times we see that when the child is doing something mischievous, so the mother always says, "Ruk, आज तेरे पापा को वापस आने दे, फिर मैं बताती हूँ." So what is this? This is sort of putting in that fear in the child's mind that the father is the one who is going to scold you, who is going to, maybe hit you. And what it results in is that in the future, if the child gets stuck in a situation which is unfavorable, where he needs help or he needs the guidance of someone elder to him, he will go on to speak to maybe a relative or a friend or a friend's father, probably go on to speak to everybody in the world but his own dad. or his own mother. So what is this? This is a clear example that he does not feel that the environment in the house is safe or comfortable for him to share his feelings. So this is where you know that that relationship is somewhere going towards the toxic side. And if I have to move a step ahead and talk about violent kind of toxic relationships, uh, where the relationship can take a very abusive side, where you're constantly, let's say, hitting each other, or the other person is sort of abusing you, publicly humiliating you. That is so, I think that is a very clear cut example of a toxic relationship. And this is when even people outside your family, people outside that relationship, can see that this is a toxic relationship, this is an abusive relationship. So, as we had already discussed with Dr. Poulomi, the relationship between parents and child can be toxic when parents are also constantly criticizing the child. Sometimes I feel that parenting involves that hard form of parenting where you feel that you have to scold the child, you have to be that tough parent for the child to understand things, but there has to be some level of balance that you're maintaining, because if you're always constantly hard on your child, then the child will start feeling that I am not a good person, because my parents do not have any level of confidence in me, they don't trust me, or they don't think good about me. So the moment you as a parent start accepting your child the way they are, start accepting your children for the mistakes that they do, and tell them that it's okay to make a mistake, there is scope for improvement in life, we are there to help you. That is when that toxicity gets away from your relationship. So how do you identify a toxic relationship? Maybe it's not intentional, unintentionally your relationship with the other person is getting toxic. How do you identify it?
यहाँ पे कुछ टाइप के टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप में थोड़ा बता दूं, तो ताकि समझ आए कि उस चीज को अगर हम आइडेंटिफाई कर पाए तो उसके हिसाब से क्या क्या कर सकते हैं। जैसे कि हमें ये समझना है कि जो टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप है वो नेगेटिव बिहेवियर है कि नहीं। जैसे हमेशा जस्ट कंप्लेन करना, अगर हमें दिखाई दे रहा है कि वो कंप्लेन कर रहा है तो समझना पड़ेगा कि चीजें में कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है। हमेशा कॉम्प्लेमेंट नेचर होगा, अनहेल्दी होगा, अ, जो इंसान होगा वो बहुत ही परफेक्शनिस्ट होगा, इस टाइप का, जिसकी वजह से मुझे प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है। नंबर टू, सेल्फ अवेयरनेस को बढ़ानी पड़ेगा क्योंकि वो भी एक प्रॉब्लम है, वन टाइप ऑफ टॉक्सिक मतलब रिलेशनशिप का, कि हमें पता ही नहीं है कि हमें किस तरीके से हेल्दी बिहेवियर करना पड़ेगा, किस तरीके से बात करनी पड़ेगी। नंबर थ्री जो है वो इंटेंशनली हर्ट करना, मतलब अगर मुझे उसे दूर जाना है तो मुझे अगर देखना पड़ेगा कि वो जो बिहेवियर कर रहा है वो इंटेंशनली कर रहा है, क्योंकि
Yes.
बहुत लोग हैं जो इंटेंशनली करते हैं, मैनिपुलेट करते हैं, कंट्रोल करते हैं।
Hmm.
इसके पीछे रीजन ऑब्वियसली ये है कि कहीं ना कहीं शायद वो पहले ऐसे टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप में रह चुके हैं या कुछ प्रॉब्लम उनको हुआ है जिसके जिसकी वजह से वो ऐसे कर रहे हैं। तो ये समझना है। नंबर फोर जो है वो अब्यूसिव, फिजिकली एंड मेंटली। ठीक है, ये तो बहुत ही कॉमन हो गया आज के टाइम पे कि हाथ उठाना, इस टाइप का। तो अगर ऐसा कुछ भी हो रहा है, बहुत लोगों का है कि वो तो बस बात करते करते हाथ चल गया था, बट हमें समझना है कि वो बात करते
Yeah.
करते हाथ चला गया था या कुछ और था।
Now let us understand, how does a toxic relationship affect your mental well-being? According to this study, Phenomenological Studies Adolescent Toxic Relationship, it says that a toxic relationship will result into the person feeling disturbed, the person feeling anxious all the time. And if I have to quote, it also says the subject feels tired of the relationship but does not want to end the relationship until finally he or she realizes that the relationship is mentally destructive. So, what it means is that you will constantly feel drained out in that relationship. You will always feel that your energy is getting exhausted, you are constantly feeling disturbed, you're always under the pressure of making the other person feel satisfied. According to another study, which goes by the name How Toxic Relationships Affect Your Mental Health, it says that it can lead to a person suffering from chronic stress, and it can also lead to a person having a low self worth. So, what it means is that ultimately your self worth takes a toss, and you constantly feel that you are not able to perform the best, and if you're always under stress, then you will not be able to perform daily basic life routine activities which a person who is not going through stress can perform. For example, if you have to, let's say, make a to-do list of what all activities and things need to be done today, if you're if you're suffering chronic stress, you will always feel anxious. You will feel that, oh my god, I have so much to do. And the most worrisome part over here is you will not enjoy any of those things. It will feel like a task, and rather than, let's say, something that you enjoy doing, right? And the person with whom you share this toxic relationship, that person's presence will also create anxiety and stress in your life. And according to the same study, it also says that there will be frequent outbursts of anger, there will be frequent outbursts of, let's say, overwhelming feelings from both ends, because the one who is, toxic, that person already has these traits in his or her personality. But you, since you are also suffering, you will, at one point reach that stage where, when you reach that bottleneck, and it just, everything just starts overpouring then. So that's what will happen with you. So, these are some of the effects that I could find of having or being in a toxic relationship. So, in the end, I would like to leave you with this little suggestion. If you're someone who is feeling anxious all the time, and there is this one particular person in your life who is making you feel anxious, and you have recognized it, in some situations, you might not have even recognized that person in your life. So, the first step is for you to identify that person. And if you're in the next stage when you have identified that person, please take active measures to cut yourself out from that situation, to cut yourself out from that relationship, maybe, because it's like a slow poison. It will eat you up slowly, one day at a time, and you will not even realize when you are feeling that it has already destroyed your life. So before it does that and you completely get submerged in depression and go through something even worse, please identify these relationships. Understand that you do not have low self-worth, you do not have low self-esteem, and it's important that you feel confident in your own self first, so that you can take a stand against these people, and you can take a stand against the person who's bullying you. And in many cases, we do not even want to take a stand. The only stand we want to take is take a step back and just concentrate on our own selves. That is also a very good solution. So, whatever floats your boat, do that. But it's important for you to cut out toxic people from your lives, and that's the only way that you can feel lighter. And suddenly you will feel that a lot of burden has been taken off from your shoulders, and you feel that you have a lot of time for yourself. You have a lot of new things, new opportunities coming your way. And as I mentioned before, that to-do list, instead of thinking of it or looking at it as challenges of your life, you will start looking at them as opportunities to excel. And then you will start feeling that you have something new to achieve every day. So you will start looking forward to life once you cut out toxic people. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed and you found something informative. So if you really enjoyed our video, please do give us a like and also leave a comment, and thank you for supporting us so much. We'll see you in the next video.